You ever look back at who you were a couple of years ago and realize, I didn't even know how to rest? Or that you used to chase people, or ignore your own feelings, or settle for things that no longer sit right with you? We don't always recognize growth while it's happening. Sometimes we're too busy surviving to realize we're healing. Growth doesn't always show up in loud, obvious ways. Sometimes it shows up in the way you exhale when no one's asking you to shrink anymore. Let's talk about 35 quiet ways you've grown without even realizing it. You pause before reacting. Even when you feel triggered, you take a breath. That one pause might not seem like much, but it's where the old version of you used to explode, and now you're choosing peace. You rest without guilt. You're learning that rest isn't weakness, it's how you preserve your energy for the parts of life that actually matter. You've set small boundaries and kept them. They might not look radical from the outside, but saying no when you used to say yes is a quiet revolution. You no longer explain everything. You don't feel the need to defend your peace. Your choices don't need to make sense to everyone. They just need to honor you. You give yourself grace when you fall short. Instead of tearing yourself down, you pause and choose compassion. That voice in your head is getting softer. You're not behind. You're just healing on a timeline no one else can measure. You've stopped begging people to understand you. You used to over-explain just to feel seen. Now, if someone doesn't get you, you let that be their limitation, not yours. You let go of things that used to haunt you, not because they stopped hurting, but because they stopped deserving your energy. You cry without apologizing. Tears aren't weakness, they're truth with nowhere else to go, and now you let them speak. You're more present in moments that matter. You notice the light in your room, the quiet around you, the peace that used to feel impossible. You forgive yourself faster. You stopped making one bad moment mean you failed your entire journey. You're allowed to move forward without explaining where you've been. You don't perform for validation anymore. You no longer shapeshift to be liked. You show up as you are, and you like who that is. You talk to yourself kindly, even when you mess up. The old voice would have said, "You always ruin everything." Now, you say, "It's okay. We're still learning." You've learned to celebrate quiet wins. Even if no one claps, you notice. You're becoming your own witness. That changes everything. You seek peace, not chaos. Not because you're boring, but because you've outgrown the noise. You're becoming who you needed. The calm, the care, the softness, everything you once searched for in others, you're learning to give it to yourself. You don't chase conversations that drain you. You've learned that silence is better than shrinking to be heard. You don't owe constant access to anyone. You let people be wrong about you. You no longer feel the need to correct every misunderstanding. Your worth is no longer up for debate. You trust your gut more. Even when it doesn't make sense on paper, you listen. You trust your body's quiet warnings and your spirit's yes. You've redefined what success means to you. It's not just accomplishment anymore, it's peace, time, and energy to live the way that feels right to you. You hold space for others without losing yourself. You've learned to care deeply without disappearing inside of people. You no longer romanticize people who harmed you. You see them clearly now, and you no longer rewrite the past to protect them. You've stopped trying to fix everyone. You've let go of the savior role. Their healing isn't yours to carry anymore. You recognize your own patterns. You interrupt yourself. You notice what you used to ignore. That's real awareness. You embrace stillness. Where silence used to feel like punishment, it now feels like safety. You ask for help even when it feels hard. You used to think independence meant isolation. Now you know strength includes softness. You've stopped overcommitting just to be liked. You no longer say yes just to stay included. You honor your energy first. You journal, meditate, or reflect, even just once in a while. You make space to hear yourself before the world speaks over you. You don't hold on to people out of habit. You've stopped confusing history with compatibility. You say no without paragraphs. You no longer explain your boundaries in hopes they'll be accepted. You just honor them. You speak up when something doesn't feel right. Even if your voice shakes, you still speak. You've stopped abandoning yourself in the name of keeping peace. You walk away when peace costs too much. You no longer sacrifice your spirit just to avoid disappointment. You catch yourself being more patient with others and yourself. You're not rushing to fix or flee. You're allowing life to unfold. You've stopped tolerating subtle disrespect. You now trust your discomfort as enough reason to step away. You've created moments of joy on your own. No event, no audience, just you, content in your own presence. You love yourself through the hard times, even when nothing feels right. You remind yourself that you are still worthy of softness. If this list felt like you, it's because it is you. These changes weren't random, they were earned. You grew even when it was lonely. You showed up even when it was hard. And you've kept becoming even when no one was clapping. So if no one told you lately, you're doing better than you think. And I'm proud of the version of you that refused to stay where you started. Growth doesn't always come like fireworks. Sometimes it hums in the background, changing you quietly. Until one day, you realize you've become softer, stronger, and somehow more you than you've ever been. You're not becoming someone new. You're just finally allowed to be who you've always been.